Follow along as I make a bike rack for my office. I recently started bike commuting to work because the weather's nice, and also because parking near our office in Soto can be quite tough on game days. We only have 5 parking spots, and I figured some of the people that work in the building might want to use a bike rack as well. I start off in Onshape modeling a wheel for the bike with a diameter of 622 millimeters. I realized later that that's kind of small for a bike wheel, so I go back and I increase the diameter of that wheel. But I just want it as a baseline so I can sketch around it to get the shape for the wheel holder. I'm going to go in and add some notches to the wheel holder for cross beams. The cross beams are going to be a nice friction fit here and support the wheel holders so they stand up. The width there is set to the depth of my plywood. I'm adding some holes to the top and the front for a lock, and also a dowel to support the top of the wheel holder. I'm starting on the cross beams, just kind of eyeballing the curves I want, because Onshape's not very good at mirroring splines. And here's the smaller cross beam, which is a little less complicated. I'm going to take those and import the parts to a drawing that is the same size as a sheet of plywood. That's because it's good to have kind of an estimate for how big it's going to be, and then I can also export the parts to scale. After I export that drawing as an SVG, I will import it into KrabzCam. There, I generated a toolpath and I'm adding some tabs. Now I can export it as G-code. Here are the cross beams. Similarly, I'm generating a toolpath and exporting as G-code. Then I can import these G-code files into the Maslow, and now I'm jogging down to the left to set the XY home. Right now, I'm jogging to the far corner of the drawing just to make sure it stays on that sheet of plywood, because if the Maslow runs off the edge, that would be bad. After setting the XY home, I begin the cut. You can see that I've added bumper boards to the edges of the plywood to support the sled when it gets close to the edge. They're not actually fixed to anything, just to help with the sled tipping. One of the reasons we do these projects is to replicate errors that we're seeing in the forums. And once I start to cut this fourth piece here, you'll see an error pop up. And you'll also see how I just turn the router off and restart the machine. After a restart, I begin the cut again. Once the Maslow is done with the main wheel holders, it's going to go in and cut out the holes. Some of these parts break off and you'll be able to see the Maslow just kind of runs over the loose part and continues on its way. Now that the cut is done, I start on the second sheet of plywood with the cross beams. I added another wheel holder to this piece because of the error we got during the first cut. These cross beams are a great test for the accuracy of the Maslow. I got another error there at the top, and I restarted the Maslow and recorded that so Bar can check it out. After cutting out the holes, we're done with this cut. I pop the pieces out with a chisel and then take them back to sand them. The holes had tabs inside of them, so I'm sanding them with a Dremel to remove that tab. Then I chop a 1-inch dowel for the top of the wheel holders. After that, we're ready to assemble. As you'll see, the cross beam is a very tight fit. So after some deliberation, I decide to hit it with the sander again to make that fit a little better. After we pop the cross beam in, the bike rack is complete. Ready for testing.